And maybe I have saved the best for last. All right. So stay with us here. For ease of implementation, what do LeBron James, Will Smith, Serena Williams, Trevor Noah, and okay, here we go, and I have in common? We practice something called mindfulness. All right. Now, and we can go back to our full screen. Now, I'm going to tell you the most amazing story in education that I've ever heard. And I taught school, and I've been, of course, working with people in the court here. Well, what if I told you there was a school where 96% of the students were eligible for government aid, 80% of the students were homeless, and it was an F-rated school? All right. You would not be surprised by that. You would say, well, how do you expect kids to concentrate on schoolwork when they might be living in a car or under a bridge or in a shelter, or they don't know where they're going to sleep tonight, and they don't know where their next meal is going to come from? How are we going to expect them to really learn, use their executive functioning and learn? But what if I told you that they adopted a program, and that after the first year, this F-rated school became a C-rated school. And then after another year, they came to a low B, and then they came to a B+. And yes, they became an A-rated school in 5 years, in the shortest amount of time in the history of Florida. Yes, this is a real school. I'm not making this up. The school I'm talking about is the Patricia Sullivan Partnership School. And obviously, they must have some dedicated teachers and everything else. But this program, I believe, was a catalyst for all these positive changes. And not only did they go from an F-rated school to an A-rated school, for the past 3 years, they have had virtually no behavioral issues in that school for 3 years. None, nada, zilch, zero. I mean, what's the matter with these homeless kids? They don't know how to fight? I mean, this is awesome. And when I heard this story, I was like, why the hell isn't every school in the country doing this? Well, maybe we're going to get there. I'm certainly prepared to work to support that happening. All right. And the program that I'm talking about is the Inner Explorer program. And it's a mindfulness program that students complete together in 8 minutes or less a day. And they listen to a series of pre-recorded, this is their homepage for their website. And they've done the people with this program are really dedicated. I think they've done a fabulous job. I've met with them on a couple of occasions. And through daily daily practice with this Inner Explorer, communities learn how to cultivate critical life skills such as self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, and resilience. And these skills work to address chronic stress, trauma, and adversity, while also fostering compassionate and equitable learning environments. Does that sound wonderful? It does to me. And the proof's in the pudding with the results. At Sullivan, students of color, predominantly homeless, achieved grade level and above grade level performance, even during the pandemic. In contrast, most schools reported the opposite. Most schools saw everything go down, but at Sullivan, everything was going up. Beautiful, beautiful. So we are going to, I'm going to show you a film clip now that they put together. I actually have a cameo in this, but if you blink, you'll miss it. And in another life, some of you may know I'm a rock star, or I pretend to be a rock star as a singer in a David Bowie tribute band called Ziggy Mundus and the Spiders from Mars. But that's another topic. This video is beautiful about what's happening with Inner Explorer, and I think we should just play that clip. That speaks for itself.
I've I've seen some real changes in a lot of students being able to control their emotions.
I find that they're more open afterward.
Mindfulness has played a huge role in how I have transformed as an educator.
5 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Taking the time can change your life.
So, what is mindfulness? According to the Oxford Dictionary, mindfulness is a mental state achieved by concentrating on the present moment, while calmly accepting the feelings and thoughts that come to you. And what are those feelings and thoughts that school-age kids are facing today?
The Surgeon General issued a rare advisory saying that there's a mental health crisis in the youth of America. Depression has gone up 50% in adolescents. Suicides, 57% increase in suicides. 100% increase of parents driving their child into an emergency room. What we're doing now is waiting for a crisis. We wait until a child can't get out of bed and go to school. We wait until a child thinks about suicide.
That was from the Office of the U.S. Surgeon General. What are teachers actually experiencing?
Before mindfulness was in my classroom, I noticed a lot of difficult behaviors, and there were a lot of times of the day where students coming back from recess or students coming back from lunch was really challenging to settle the class down.
And so I just asked the class, well, raise your hands if you came to school angry today. And hands went up all over the room.
The children would come in after school and they would just be all over the place.
And it just never occurred to me that so many of my students were coming to school angry and frustrated and upset.
Now enter a daily practice of mindfulness, and here's what you get. In 5 to 10 minutes a day, the entire class practices together and experiences more calm, more focus, and more resilience.
Once I started using Inner Explorer in my classroom, I noticed that some students do it on their own. I might notice a couple of students just in the corner going like this.
When we really began propelling forward, I began to collect a little data on discipline. Just the referrals period dropped in half, and the number I recall really is 365. And I remember thinking, yes, we're on to something.
And there's the research, which I've seen in terms of math scores going up. I mean, who doesn't want better math scores?
I saw a kindergarten kid ball his fists up and about to punch this other little kid, and he takes a mindful bubble breath and went, Mr. Butler, I'm going to choose not to fight. And I went, wise choice.
Mindfulness is a wise choice. Here are some studies and the numbers to prove it. In West Virginia, at the Kaiser Elementary School, there was a 190% increase in the number of students at or above grade level in reading, and a 375% increase in the number of students at or above grade level in math. In Texas, at the La Jolla Independent School District, behavior issues decreased by 85%. In California, the Fairfield School District found in 1 year that fewer suspensions and improved attendance equaled an additional $37,400 in revenue, a return on investment of over 100%. In districts in Illinois, Florida, Michigan, and Massachusetts, educators consistently experienced 40% less stress and burnout.
Mindfulness is powerful and it is necessary.
But just really the practice of mindfulness and has an amazing impact, and I think that's going to be really important to our future generations.
I would hope to see it just be integrated, to be a seamless integration into what we do across the district. It's not something that we do in addition to, it's what we need.
All right, so real nice introduction, I think, there to mindfulness. Let me tell you, InterExplorer, this is happening. They are in over 6,000 schools, and you saw those results. You can't argue with those results. I was in a classroom of first graders, and they were asked, does InterExplorer, does this program make a difference for you? Do you feel this is helpful? Every single kid just enthusiastically, they would have put their hand through the ceiling if they could have. How would you like it if I could make your math scores better, but you wouldn't have to study anymore to improve your grades? How would you like that? You saw all that, the statistics on the reading improvement. That's because, they're doing InterExplorer. So, when we do these things, good things happen. And you know what? I didn't really even mention this, but it's a lot to talk about. I could have spent all day. I could spend all week, really. But how much better you feel. You just feel better when you do yoga, when you do mindfulness, when you do meditate. It makes you feel better. And if J-Lo and all these other famous people who don't really, they have everything, right? Wonderful career, awards, everything, but they're doing this. What does that tell us? That tells us, God, I think I'd be an idiot not to do some of these practices.